Hello, friends, and welcome to Virtual Strangers 21. I'm your host, Wes. With me, as always, my good friend, Ruuts. We have another jam-packed week full of awesome VR news and some not-so-awesome news. Actually, before we get into that, there is one personal item that we need to bring up right off the top here. And it has to do with one of the founding members of Virtual Strangers. And of course, I am talking about Justin, Mamefan. If you're watching this the day we release it on Sunday, as we speak right now, Justin is in the hospital. But don't worry, friends. Justin is in the hospital for a good reason because he is about to join those of us who are parents in the and have his first child. They're in the hospital waiting on it to arrive as we speak. And I just wanted to take a moment at the top of the show to congratulate original Virtual Stranger and friend of the show Justin on becoming a parent. I'm sure Roots knows, and any of you out there who are parents knows that this is the most awesome thing about life. And I'm really, really happy for you, Justin, and I wish you the best of luck. And again, congratulations.
Yeah, man. Hell yeah. And what's cool is you're going to be one of the coolest dads out there, dude. You got the VR and you're the finisher. And so you're going to instill that in little baby Justin or Justine. I don't know if we know if it's a girl or boy, but yeah, definitely congratulations, man.
If I'm not mistaken, I think it's a girl.
Okay.
It's been a few months since he told me, but I think he said it was a girl.
Okay.
But I guess we'll all know soon enough. Justin will be back from the hospital in a day or so, and back on the Discord. Hopefully he's not taken away for any lengthy period of time. But if that turns out to be the case, we'll certainly understand why.
Yeah.
Again, congratulations, Justin. It's great. I'm very happy for you.
Yeah.
All right, that's enough personal stuff for now. We got some more coming up in just a moment. But for those of you who are new to the channel and watching for the first time, I guess we probably should talk a little VR. And what kind of a channel would we be if we didn't lead off this week's news with No Man's Sky? The thing that everyone's talking about, no one can agree on. Finally, this week, after months of anticipation, we got the update. The series of updates at this point now to No Man's Sky, which implemented No Man's Sky 2.0, or otherwise known as No Man's Sky Beyond. So we got the, among other things, we got the VR implementation, entire game playable in VR. But this game has been released to some mixed reviews. Apparently, a lot of people are having performance issues here. So we've both had some time in it. I think Roots has had a little more time in it than I have. So we'll just start with Roots here. Roots, tell me about your experience these last couple of days with No Man's Sky Beyond.
All right. So started with, I guess it went par with everything that started with No Man's Sky to begin with years ago, as an entire shit show for almost everybody that tried it. Just very janky graphics, didn't look good. My processor was running it it was so full. I'm running 8700K and it was like using all of it, and it was running at like 100 degrees Celsius, and so I had to shut it off, and pretty much my No Man's Sky dream died that day. But good news is it was reborn the next day when I saw Paradise Decay made a video on how to go into the binaries and tweak some things, and it was night and day for me, and it is so gorgeous. And I'm a little ashamed to say that as much time as I've spent, I still haven't yet taken off from the planet. And the reason why I feel really shamed about it is I watched Anthony's VR 365 last night, and he was talking about how he took off and he was going to planets and stuff. And I felt, oh my God, So that's a testament to Anthony. He obviously must like this a little bit more than he's letting on. But no, it's beautiful, and it's one of the most intuitive feeling games in VR. Like everything they walk you through it so well as far as what to do, and it's really cool. I'm enjoying it now that I've got the graphics, but I am looking forward to them completely making it run 100% optimized, because I am having to lock the ASW down to 40 frames, and that is not as good as 80, obviously.
Right, right. So you were having these initial issues that everyone else were reporting, and then you did the PD tweak. PD came out with a list of settings tweaks and mods to the code, and that worked for you then.
Yeah, absolutely. It was night and day difference. I did the recommendations he did in his video. I put everything to high. I know some people put it to ultra, but I found ran a little bit of jank, and I didn't think it was necessary. But I put everything to high, turned off the AAs, both of the AAs, turned the filtering to 16, and ran with it. And like I said, it runs a steady 40 ASW. I love Oculus's ASW. Like Alex and I were talking about, he was basically saying that that's the one thing he misses about the having the Rift when he went to the indexes. It's not quite as optimized to run things at half the frames as Oculus is. They obviously really have it nailed down.
So did you set your ASW into always on or always off in the tray tool?
Yeah, I turned the tray tool. Obviously, I don't think I had any super sampling. I might have had some in Steam, but I can't remember. I think I turned it down as well. But I did in the Oculus tray tool. I turned it on to where it was locked at 40 frames and was on. And I don't know if it's always on. I mean, obviously, I don't always run my tray tool. So I just, when I open it, and I just turned it on to lock it to ASW 40. So.
Okay. So here's my experience with it. So I did not try this on day one. I expected that there would be some day one jank. If you can go back to our episode, it was either 2 or 3 weeks ago, where I was asking, hey guys, do you think that maybe our hype level might get a little too high here, and then people might overreact at the day one jank that always comes? And here what happened? The exact same thing that we said would happen. People kind of freaked out at what always happens. There's always day one jank. Always day one jank. But I said it then, and I'll say it now. If Hello Games has shown us anything, it is a work ethic and a willingness to continue to improve until they get it right. And I think we're seeing that now, and we're going to continue to see that. But back to my experience. So I didn't play this on day one. I decided to wait, let some of this stuff get ironed out. So the first time that I tried No Man's Sky in VR was today, this morning.
Okay.
And so what I did is, first I tried the PlayStation VR version. Reason being, obviously, if I start out on the PC version and try to cut back into the console version, just the difference in power of the systems is going to be amplified then, because I'm going to be used to seeing it through my 1080 Ti. So I started on the PlayStation VR version and experienced pretty much what everyone else has said that they've been experiencing. Very blurry. What's directly in front of you in like a 5-foot radius looks fine, but beyond that, everything is just Vaseline smeared. Probably worse than any other game that I've ever seen.
Wow.
I mean, it's very, very blurry. Is it unplayable? No, it's still playable. Again, the things that are close to you, the things that you're focusing on most of the time, look okay. But these beautiful environments that you're being put into, you can't really enjoy because of the blurriness.
Yeah.
So I played that for a little while. I played up until the point where I found the ship and started to repair the ship, and said, you know what? Let's hop over to the PC version and see if that one plays like everyone says it plays as well. So I jumped over to the Steam version, played with my Oculus tool tray enabled, 150% super sampling, went into the game in default graphical settings,
Oh God.
and it played okay for me. There was a couple of instances I jacked it up. I think it defaulted onto the I forget what it's called, the one right under high, not the lowest setting, but the kind of like the medium setting.
Standard, or I don't know.
Yeah, whatever that one. That's what it defaulted to. So I jacked that up to ultra, and when I jacked it up to ultra, it played okay for a minute, and then I started to get some really bad jitters and things as I looked around. So I cut it back to high, and it worked fine. I left the anti-aliasing on. I did just the one tweak, setting it on high. Like, I didn't do individual categories. I did the one on the top that set everything to high, and it ran okay. There was an occasional jitter here and there, but it wasn't as bad as any Bethesda title. Any Bethesda title I've ever played has played worse than No Man's Sky VR played for me today. And I played it. I played it a little bit longer than I played the PlayStation one. I worked on my ship for a little while, repaired the first couple of items that are wrong with the ship, and then jumped out. But yeah, it played fine for me. It was a beautiful game. When it turned night, man, that was just awe-inspiring beauty. The way that looked, the night sky, and all these things that are shooting across, and the colors and the particle effects, the biodiversity on the planet, out of this world. The only thing that really has me worried about it is it does seem like it's going to be a bit of a grind fest if you want to play it long term. A lot of mining needs to be done.
Do it with your family, do it with your friends, and you can, because I was thinking about the other day, because I was talking to Cyan, and we were talking about going into this, and I want to do that this weekend, because like I need to build my ship, and I want to do stuff, and if the more people you have, I think it'll make it easier, for sure. But yeah.
Yeah, but it definitely seems like something I want to go back into a lot, because just the diversity of the planets. You know, I played pretty much the same sequence on my PlayStation as I did on my Rift, but it was completely different because I was on this nice warm planet to start out with on the PlayStation version. And then when I went to the Rift, it was this ice planet. It looked like Hoth. And the ice planet had this cave. I found this series of caves I went into and found some different minerals. And definitely seems fun.
I started on the ice one too. I didn't know that it starts you on different planets, or if it's different for PlayStation versus PC. That's kind of curious. Now, let me ask you this. When you say it ran good, what did your frame per second monitor say? Did you run it at all? Or like I run FPS VR, so because like where the real motion sickness comes is where it appears to look good, but it's not good, and then you start to feel weird. And so like and especially in a new game with something like, I'm always looking at the frames, so to make sure that they're within where they're supposed to be, whether at 40 or 80. And I don't know if I'm the only one that does that, or if you're watching this and you do that.
I think that a lot of people do that. I have a performance monitor that runs on my desktop. It doesn't show in VR. And the only time I look at it is if I do experience issues that are noticeable. I played this game for well over an hour between the two sessions, back to back. When I got in on the PC, I went nuts with the jetpack thing. I set it to smooth locomotion, smooth turning. I wish it moved a little faster. I felt the walking was a little slow.
Mm-hmm.
And
there's no run either.
And I think it was controller oriented locomotion, if I'm not mistaken. I would prefer it to be gaze based. But besides that, I didn't feel sick at all. outside of a few instances of a little bit of stutter, it played just fine. So I never looked at my performance monitor. I didn't feel like it was running bad enough for me to even consider that.
I wonder if it was running hot like mine was, or what tweaks they've done in the last couple of days since I tried it, because it really could be maybe an update that fixed everything. Now I want to go back into it, and not only I want to take off from the fucking planet. I really feel like I'm behind the curve, and I'm a little sad.
I'm right there with you. I'm right there. Maybe we should hook up and work on it together. Which I guess we couldn't though until we fix our ship, right?
Is that how it works? You like fly to each other's planets, or
I would assume so, right? We're in the same universe, but we're on different planets, so
maybe we're both on the ice planet. Wouldn't that be the odds of us being on the same planet?
Oh, that's true. We are both on the ice planet, because the planet I was in on PlayStation looked something like this one on the trailer there. It was more like this.
I almost died from the cold a couple times. It's fucking cold on that ice planet at nighttime.
Yeah. That's one of the good things about that cave I found, is it stabilized my temperature when I got in the cave and got out of the elements. It stabilized all that. I was freezing, but not anymore after I got in there.
I didn't find the cave, but I found a base, like someone's abandoned base. So like, how cool is that? Like, I just ran, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to die literally. And then all of a sudden there was this building, and it was like God just shined down on me, and I ran in there and I heated up, and everything was good again. So
yeah. And that's one of the reasons, by the way, that I didn't do all the mods and the tweaking that everyone seemed to be all happy to give a shot, because I knew the Halo games would be patching it in short order. And I don't know what kind of effect these modifications to the code would have on these patches, if it's going to monkey wrench what the developers are trying to do to fix it. So I kind of try to steer clear of all that stuff unless I absolutely have to. And thank God this isn't Bethesda. This is Halo Games.
Yeah.
And we know that they aren't going to just walk away from it and say, figure it out yourselves, guys, like Bethesda seems to like to do.
Isn't that kind of cool? Like, if you think about Hello Games, and 3 years ago, you couldn't find anybody that would say, "Oh yeah, this is a good thing for them," and now, because they've been so diligent and they've fulfilled what they promised, to me, it's like giving them, they have street cred now. It's like, okay, like you said, like, I know as a developer, if they're gonna make a game, I can believe in them. They're gonna finish the game. They're gonna optimize it. It's gonna run well. I now have faith in a company that a couple years ago I would have said I would never buy a game from these people. So it just shows you what a developer can do with the talent and the time and the motivation, really.
Yeah, I think that's really what it's all about, is that these people really care about this game, and they had their vision when they first conceptualized this game, and they've really dedicated themselves. This is their life's work. They've dedicated themselves to realizing that vision, and it shows. This is a remarkable game, and I think after all the kinks get worked out, it's going to be one of the few experiences that become synonymous with VR. This is going to be one of those titles that when you ask a flat gamer about VR, they're No Man's Sky is going to be what comes to their mind. So
yeah,
definitely a big deal, this game, and more to come on this game in the coming weeks. It'll probably be quite some time before we have enough hours in this to really do a proper review of it. But there are some changes coming that are going to allow us to return to games like this and give impressions as we go. Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later in the show as well.
Yep.
All right, and with that said, I want to talk a little bit about something that's going to impact the show today, yesterday, and going forward. That I think that we need to get it out of the way here and talk about. I'm sure any of our hardcore viewers have noticed already that we're down to two, folks. It's just me and Ruuts now. Alex, no KIA picture from him this week. Alex is gone. Alex has decided that he's no longer going to continue on working on the Virtual Strangers channel, at least not in an on-camera role. He has agreed to stay on with us for a little while here and help fulfill some of the responsibilities behind the scenes that he takes care of. The stuff you guys don't know about, like these graphics that show up on the screen while we're going through the different scenes, the thumbnails on the channels, all the artwork for the channel Alex does, and he's going to continue to do that. He's also going to continue on in our Discord as a moderator. He actually stepped down over a week ago, and I'm sure you guys have noticed Alex has been even more active in the Discord now than he was before. So Alex is still going to be around, but he has decided not to continue on with us in producing content for our channel. And basically, I mean, there's a number of reasons why Alex chose this, and we certainly understand why. I'm sure that some of you understand out there how difficult it is to produce content like we do, even once a week, let alone 4 and 5 different days a week. It's a lot of work that goes into producing this content, and that's just for people who work on similar schedules. Mm-hmm. But the reality with our channel is we don't work on similar schedules. We're 3 different people from 3 different areas in the world who work on 3 completely different time schedules. We all have our different responsibilities. We all have jobs, full-time jobs we work. I have a family. I have my kids. I have a wife.
And my wife is dead.
High five.
Yeah.
No, we all have personal and professional responsibilities outside this channel, and it's hard enough to produce content under a normal circumstance. But the truth of the matter is that with us, and the time zone difference has proven to be a little bit more difficult for us to deal with than we had anticipated. The way things have been working throughout the history of our channel up until this point is we record all of the week's content in one session on Saturday. And in order for us even to get started on that, Alex, who is 5 hours ahead of me in the time of day, and he's 7 hours ahead of Ruuts in the time of day, he has to wait on us to become available, only to get started at 10 or 11 o'clock on Saturday night for him. And most of the time we end up going 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock a.m. for Alex. And over time, it has become increasingly difficult for him to keep up with it. And he has decided that instead of continuing on producing content for this channel, that he would rather take a step back, take a much needed break, rest up, and then he's going to start working on content for his own channel. And when that stuff starts to come out, obviously we're going to promote it here on the Virtual Strangers channel. Mm-hmm. And we just want to take this opportunity to thank Alex, not only for his vision, for his Alex is the one who kind of prompted us all to start on this. We all kind of had our own ideas about doing something like this before, but it was really Alex was the one who brought us all together and said, hey, you know what, let's do it. And we'll be eternally grateful to him for that, for all of the hard work that he's put in, and for his vision in molding the content on this channel. So for that, Alex, I just want to personally thank you. I want to tell you that there's no hard feelings here, that I completely understand why you had to step down. I'm sorry to see you go, but I'm glad that your life is going to become easier going on from day to day. And I wish you the best of luck with whatever you decide to do from this moment going forward.
Yeah, I agree, Alex. I want to thank you as well, man. This wouldn't exist without you. And, that being said, everything that Wes said, I'm a big believer of everything happens for a reason, and you can actually become better as things change. And Wes and I have came up with a lot of really good ideas for the channel going forward, to tweak things and keep things the same, but add to the channel as well. And I guarantee you're going to like them. So.
Yeah, we're going to make you proud here, buddy. Don't worry, the channel is in good hands in your absence, and well, let's just end with this. I don't want to go on too long here about changes that are coming to the channel, but obviously Alex stepping down left us with some choices, and we had to decide: do we want to keep going on here? And after giving it some thought, yeah, we're going to keep going here. We're not going anywhere, and to the contrary, we're going to make things. We're going to take it to the next level here. And I don't want this segment to go on too long. We've got too much VR stuff to talk about. But for those of you who are the hardcore followers of the channel, please don't worry. Give us a few weeks here. I think you're really going to like what we're going to do with the channel. We've got some big plans, some big things in store, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that toward the end of the video. So just hang out, watch the rest of the news segment here, and then before we leave, we're going to talk about some of the changes that are coming to the channel short term, some of them even starting this week, and even more changes coming as we progress through the weeks going forward. As sad as we are to see Alex go, I think Ruuts and I are both very excited with the direction that things are going to take now. So.
Yep. Went from oh my God, what are we going to do, to oh my God, let's see what we're going to do.
Yeah. What are we going to do? Oh, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Taking it to the next level. We're going all in, folks. We really are. So stay tuned. All right, that said, that's enough personal stuff for the moment. Let's get back to talking about why we all came here in the first place. VR. Let's talk some VR games. Let's talk Space Pirate Arena. So, those of you who have had VR for 3 days or longer know what Space Pirate Trainer is. It's probably one of the better examples of a wave shooter that we have in VR, and it's a testament to the quality of work that the developer, iLlusions, the quality of work that they've done, because this is probably the one genre that's most synonymous with being played out in VR is wave shooters, but still people rave about Space Pirate Trainer. And here this week, iLlusions has told us what's coming next. And it's not a wave shooter. It's actually something very different than anything we've had in VR before. And what I'm talking about is from the ground up designed local multiplayer game in VR. So what this is a multiplayer versus first person shooter game that it's not online. You connect through a Wi-Fi router, but it's completely local. It's two players playing in the same space. Yes, you do need to have a large space to play this game, at least 10 meters by 10 meters, they said. So, yeah, you need to have a pretty large indoor space, or you're going to have to go outside to play it. But this is a very unique concept. Like I said, it's a versus first-person shooter. The developer says it plays more like a game of hide and seek than like a 1v1 deathmatch, but still very early in development. We know that, like I said, you don't have to go online to play it. You just have to connect that through a router. And we know that the gun in the game charges up and you can shoot, ricochet off the walls like a lot of plasma weapons do in first-person shooters. But yeah, a very original idea, and something that really you're only going to be able to play in a standalone. Obviously, you're not going to be able to do this tethered. So Ruuts, what did you think about this? This is, in my opinion, we need more stuff like this for the Oculus Quest. this is something that can set that platform apart from tethered VR. What do you think?
I think it's amazing. The thing is it's not only just this game, it's the implications of what they can do with any game now, you know, like, and if you've got the space and you've got a friend with a Quest, and how cool is this where the it's taken into consideration the size of your space, and it's building the walls, I'm assuming, in there, and so you're never gonna, you don't have to worry about running into each other because it's gonna take care of that. And I just think that's so cool. I don't know, I was blown away by this. I don't know that I would ever be in a place with somebody else with a Quest with a big enough space like that. But yeah, it's really cool. And like you said, you couldn't do it with the tethered, even if you could have two computers. I mean, like, that space, and I don't know, I just a clusterfuck run of wires everywhere, even with a ceiling thing and that dog leashes bullshit that everybody did. I'm just not a big believer of that stuff either.
It'd be like getting your fishing lines crossed. If you ever went fishing with someone in a river and the current carries your lines together and you get tied up, it'd be a knot. It'd be a nightmare. So obviously this is meant for standalone, and this is the kind of outside the box thinking that's going to really make that platform shine in the years to come, in my opinion. Not only that, but the idea that they think that they can pull something like this off with the latency low enough to play a multiplayer versus game like this, it says a lot about the capability of the Quest.
Mm-hmm.
And it has implications not only for these types of games, but for game streaming from PC to the Quest, which is something that is already being established through the modding community, and is something that I think is only going to grow in the weeks and months to come.
Yeah, it's just my thing is like we were talking about, was it last week, or actually it's came up a couple times, you know, that tipping point, or more definitively the Quest putting out something that you can't play on the Rift, right? Well, here it is. This is one example, and if more and more of these things come out, there's already two things that we're talking about this week that are Quest related. I was telling you earlier, I'm now actually thinking about picking up a Quest, where a week or two ago I honestly was thinking I don't even know if I'm gonna get a Quest, or maybe I'm gonna get you know, a different version of a wireless at some point. But between the VR cover and the things that they've been things I can fix, and then games like this, yeah, I think I'm leaning in the Quest crowd.
Yeah, it's definitely getting better week to week for the Oculus Quest, and the fact of the matter is even if 95% of the titles that they release for Quest do get ported into Rift, this is the device that that developers want to make games for. So the library is only going to get bigger and better for this thing, just so long as they could get them published on the Quest store, which is another topic for another day.
Yeah.
But they've sold a lot of these already. I think they're going to continue to sell a lot of them, and I think VR is going to blow up because of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely. Every day that goes by I'm more glad that I picked it up when I did, even if I don't use it on a daily basis. When I do use it, I'm glad that I have it. So.
Yeah. Does your family use it quite a bit though?
Every day.
Okay, so that's all that
Every
matters. Day. You know, like as long as somebody's using it, because it makes me cry and die a little bit inside when I hear these stories of, oh yeah, my friend played Justin, you know, my friend bought a Vive and played it for a few months, and it's sitting in his closet, and I'm like, why? Like, what? I don't know.
Yeah, they love it because it's so easy to use. It's literally, you just pick it up and put it on. I mean, that's all you got to do. Whereas, you know, it might not be that difficult to set up a PSVR or a PC-based tethered VR. Literally, with the Quest, you just take it wherever you want and put it on, and you go. You know, there's nothing to it, and that's why they like it so much. Even my youngest kid, sometimes I've caught him coming in here and sneaking and grabbing it taking
I
it into the
bet.
living room and putting it on and playing.
Hopefully he's playing something good and he's not in, something he shouldn't be in.
We don't
Scary.
have, yeah, we don't have. Well, I mean, that kid's tough. I don't think it would scare him too mad anyway. But no, he likes to play Beat Saber and Box VR. They all like Box VR. That's the main thing they play.
Hmm.
And he's been playing that one pet application lately with the pet dinosaur thing.
Hmm.
I forget what it's called. It's a free app on there. He's been playing with that here lately.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, the Quest definitely gets a lot of use around here, even if it isn't from me.
Oh, cool.
All right, so moving on to another game here that's going to be coming out on Quest, hopefully sooner rather than later, but is also going to be coming out for Rift, and that is a game you've heard us make fun of a few times on this channel, and that's Phantom Covert Ops. Now, we've made fun of this a few times now just because the concept sounds a little convoluted and far-fetched, but the more I see of this game, the more I'm coming around on it, to tell you the truth. So this is an Oculus-funded game. Like I said, it's coming to Rift as well as Quest, and Oculus announced this week that they're going to be in PAX West at the end of the month in full force. They're going to be bringing along with them Lone Echo 2, Stormland, Asgard's Wrath, and this game, Phantom Covert Ops. And along with this news, we also got a new gameplay sneak peek, which is what we're looking at here. And we can deduce some things about the gameplay from watching this footage. The concept that we're at least seeing here is that this is a stealth op kayaking title. You move around by kayaking, and you avoid patrol boat guards by hiding in weeds. You scout the environment using your sniper rifle, and you use things that you have within your reach to throw and distract the guards. So it's a stealth game at heart, but obviously if you have a sniper rifle, there's going to be some action sequences too. We found out that each level of this game is going to have multiple ways to clear it. So you're going to have a stealth option. You're going to have a more direct approach, taking the guards out. And like I said before, it's scheduled for release soon on both Oculus platforms. So Roots, upon watching this footage, have your feelings about this game changed at all?
Oh, hell yeah. What's funny is because we don't use any audio in our show, that the guy talking about it in this video told me more about this game than anything. And like you said, it's so cool. Like you can just go balls to the walls. You can try to kill, you can kill shit, you can distract, you can, there's a lot of different approaches. Everything you do, you have to think of making noise as well. And they just make it very clear that the water, you control where you go with what you're doing with it. So everywhere you go on the water is just completely open. You're not on a track. Yeah, you're limited where you can go because you're just like a boat. You can't take the boat on the fucking land. So you're limited that way. But it was listening to him talk about things and why they did this and how they did this, and it really made me want to play this game now. And I think it's so much more than just what we thought before when we were joking about it. You know, obviously a kayaking sniper game, like who would have thought? But it's exciting to me because even though Rogan was cool and it was okay, and we shit all over it, it didn't satisfy my VR feel for a true legit stealth game. Although Intruders was really good, but it's not on the PC, and I just think the aspect of the shooting along with everything else really is going to make this very cool.
Yeah, definitely from watching this new footage, it looks like you're going to be put in some very high tension situations, a lot of suspense, a lot of elevated heartbeat, and just the fact that this is coming as an Oculus funded title, really that's all I need to know, because these we've talked about it in recent weeks on this channel. The first party titles, whether it be on PlayStation or PC VR, these are the good ones. And I can't think of very many Oculus funded titles that I said, you know what, I didn't really care for that.
Well,
So
think of any flat game title that didn't have a bunch of money behind it. Like, money talks and bullshit walks, and developers are like struggling to make money on games to begin with. So I just think that Oculus does more good for VR than bad. Even if you don't like their politics or whatever people don't like about them, they're clearly driving the PC market and in software, in my opinion, as Sony is driving the all the good stuff on their platform.
absolutely, and I think that this game here is just going to be another example in a long list that we're getting this year from Oculus. So this game has gone, in my mind, from being a joke to being something that I'm really looking forward to, and I can't wait to see more about it.
Yeah, me too.
All right, moving on. Speaking of PSVR, we got quite a lot of PSVR news this week, a lot that I left out from the show format, but a few things here that I do want to touch on, and that is PSVR ports. We had a few different PSVR ports that were announced this week. Some of them we had an idea that we were getting, and others we had no idea that we were getting. So let's start with Witching Tower. Witching Tower VR is kind of a fantasy adventure game that's been out on PC for a while now, and we had an idea that this was going to come to PlayStation VR, because back in March, during one of their update posts, the developer mentioned something about focusing on porting the game to PlayStation VR. Well, this week we got a formal announcement via the PlayStation blog from the developer being Daily Magic Productions, and they announced that they're bringing Witching Tower to PlayStation VR this autumn. So not very long to wait at all. Within the next 3 or 4 months, we're going to see this game on PlayStation VR. Now, this is a game that's always looked interesting to me. I've had access to it through Viveport, but I've never really got on there and messed around. It's just another one on my long line of backlog titles that I want to get time into. So I really don't know. I really can't say a whole lot about the gameplay here. What about you, Ruuts? Have you had a chance to play Witching Tower VR before?
No, and it surprises me, because when I saw that this was one of the topics, and I was getting the video for the show, I remembered, and I was like, oh my god, I remember when Justin got this and like was raving about it, and or I believe he was raving about it, but at least we talked about it because of him, and I never tried it, and I'm like, why the fuck did I not try this? And like you said, I nailed it, or you nailed it with the backlog, man. It's like, doing a show like this, how do you find time to go back to the backlog games? It's very difficult. So it is something that's on my list of something I want to try, hopefully soon.
Yeah. I think we might have a solution to that problem there, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. I think I might have a way that we're going to be able to get at some of these backlog games. But speaking specifically about Witching Tower, so neither of us have played it, so we really can't speak on it, but I think you're right. I think Justin did speak on this on an earlier episode of Virtual Strangers, and I do think that his remarks were positive. So why don't we just take a look back right now and take a look at exactly what did Justin have to say about the Witching Tower. So let's take a look at that clip here.
Plan is Witching Tower. This is an action game where, so that right there is this evil witch queen that controls an army of the dead, and she's locked you into this dungeon, chained you there, and you have to escape and fight her these skeletons and all her evil dogs and all sorts of crazy shit. And there are puzzles all throughout this whole thing. That's one of the coolest things I think, that, you know, you do some combat, then you do some puzzles, combat, puzzles. Yeah, in some scenes you can actually control the enemies with some like magical abilities. Um, the melee is, you know, kind of just average, just kind of average melee. But there's bow and arrow, and I think the bow and arrow is pretty accurate, so I was pretty happy with that. But I liked the game. The puzzles were fun. It took me 3.2 hours to beat it. So at full price of 20 bucks, I don't know, 3.2 hours might be not enough for some people, but I got it on sale for like $9.99, and I'm happy with that. Yeah, and the graphics, I mean, they really impressed me almost the whole way through. I mean, the trailer doesn't really even tell, but yeah, in VR, it's even more impressive. And even the scale, like some places you're in these really giant, you know, hallways, and you're just like in there with that ball swinging and these axes swinging are really cool. So yeah.
All right, so there you have it from the man himself, Justin, telling you that this is definitely a game that is going to add to the PSVR library. So as long as these developers can pull off a worthy port, definitely one to be on the lookout for if you are a member of the PlayStation VR community. All right, moving on from there, we also got word that we are going to be getting a PlayStation VR port of Final Assault VR. Now, this is a tabletop real-time strategy game that came out not that long ago, actually, just a few months ago, and came out from Phase Lock Interactive, and it is coming to PlayStation VR in the fourth quarter 2019, so really not that long to wait. We're going to get it this year. That we found out also that the PlayStation 4 version is going to feature cross-platform play with PC players, and that the PSVR version is going to be debuting at the end of the month at PAX West, and the devs said that they will be showcasing new content for the game. Now, this is another one that I never really took much interest in this game. But I do believe you did play this one, didn't you, Ruuts, and you liked it?
Yeah, actually, it's really cool, and the devs are really cool too, because I got in on the beta, and it's one of the ones that I actually really put a lot of time in and just enjoyed it, and they let the people with the beta keep the keys, and so I give, you know, a lot of people don't do that. I mean, as soon as the beta is over, that key's revoked, and it's greed, and I think it's very cool that it should be a no-brainer, right? I would assume that you would want to do cross-platform on any game that's multiplayer, especially like this, because you want to increase the pool. But then you see games that they don't, and I know there's reasons why, but I think the reasons to do it should supersede the reasons why you wouldn't do it. Maybe you know, you don't want to have the dedicated servers, whatever, money-wise. But so many multiplayer games die, and so I'm excited about that aspect alone, and it's just super cool, super fun game.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago that Sony didn't allow cross-platform play. They had their platform on lockdown, and you couldn't have that. But with the advent of games like Fortnite and in VR Rec Room, those two were really the trailblazers that cut the path for games like this to come along afterwards and feature cross-platform play. This is a relatively new thing for a PSVR game, and yeah, it's pretty much a necessity for any kind of a VR multiplayer game to have cross-platform, because there aren't enough VR players at this point really to sustain these types of games. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing that they're planning on making this cross-platform. And as far as the game itself goes, again, not my genre, not my favorite thing. But that said, I've played other games in VR that weren't my favorite genre before, but once you experience them in VR, it's a whole new experience.
You got to play this one, dude. The the thing about this that's so cool is, if you ever played Army Men or any of that stuff, like the scale of these things, and again, getting down there and looking and watching your little soldiers run around and guiding them and moving the planes to attack. And actually, I watched my nephew, he's like 21, 22, and he's very into these games. And like, he was explaining everything and he was doing, it was very strategic, man. Like, people that know what they're doing in these kind of games, because I'm kind of like you, I'm kind of a rookie. I do enjoy them, but I don't have that, the type of analytical mind to break down why everybody is doing it. But he's putting the things that lob the shit over back behind the mountain, and very strategic things that would seem obvious to anybody that knows what they're doing. But for me, I'm running out in the middle and my shit's getting blown up and I'm wondering why I'm dying. No, it is a really good game.
Yeah, I think the one thing, if anything draws me to it, it is what you said, and that's the scale of it. We've spoken week after week after week about how scale is one of the most striking things that you can experience in VR, whether it be things on a very large scale or things on a very small scale. And these look to be some very detailed environments placed in front of you on a tabletop in VR. So if nothing else, I'd like to check it out just for that.
Yeah. Now think about what your kids would think, or your youngest, if it was one of the games he got to play a little bit of time when he's allowed to, because like I said, playing Army Men and all that stuff, you use your imagination, which is great. But to be able to watch your soldiers fighting and doing everything you're telling them to do, and the animations are so cool. It's just, I can imagine from a kid's standpoint, it would just be like heaven.
Yeah. I would imagine if it plays as easily as it looks like it's easy to pick up but hard to master. Looks like one of those. He might have some fun with it.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on, we did have one more PSVR port that I wanted to mention, and this one's a little bit different because this one wasn't exactly an announcement, but I think that it's coming nonetheless. And that is LA Noire, the VR case files. This is from Rockstar Games. It's a VR addendum to an existing flat game, a popular, or what was at the time a popular flat game. These are extra missions that were produced for PC VR in this game. And again, they did not announce that this was coming to PlayStation VR, but last week, LA Noire, the VR case files appeared briefly on the European rating board, the PEGI ratings.
Mm-hmm.
It showed up on Tuesday, and as quickly as it showed up, it was gone. So we don't know for sure that this is coming. It could have been a mistake, but in my opinion, there are no such thing as a coincidence. And I think that...
How do you accidentally do that? Like, I don't see how,
Right.
like, either it's set up to do it. I mean, you could accidentally release it early, but I don't see how you could have a game that wasn't already set up to release into that system. That would be a very, like, how did it get in there?
Exactly. It would have to be somebody playing some kind of a prank or something. People do like to do that sometimes,
Yeah.
but I don't think so here. I think where there's smoke, there's fire, and there's definitely smoke here. So, again, another one. This one is firmly on my backlog, one that I am interested in playing, one that I own and have not played. Ruuts, I know that you've played this one, and again, another good one, right?
It's amazing. It's one of my favorite games on flat game and in VR. What's funny is I picked it up on a sale in Steam for flat game, like $6 or something, and it blew me away. This was like 9 months ago, and I was starting to get to points where I felt like I wanted to play VR, but I didn't know what to play, and then I wouldn't end up playing anything. So, like, I kind of feel like you really do need a flat game palate cleanser every now and again. So I went into this, and I was like, oh my God, where's this game been my whole life? And because I love detective games, and it's done so well. Now, one thing about the case files, it is some of the case files. and some of it's a little janky. But going around in downtown Los Angeles in I think it's 47 or is it 37? I can't remember, one of the two. And watching the traffic go and the trolleys and the way the traffic worked with the trolleys and the old school lights and with a stop and go popping out in literal words, which tells me like it was something new, trying to get people to know, okay, hey, if red means stop, green means go. We take that for granted because we've seen it our whole life. But it just was so cool. And I think it's very cool that they're going to be bringing this to PlayStation. Now it's not just going to be for us PC people only.
Yeah, this is actually one of those games that Viveport gave me. Just, here you go, have a game.
Wow.
I got this. This was the last one that I got from them. A game that I was already interested in. So yeah, I was glad. I gladly accepted it. And again, another one of those backlog titles that hopefully we're going to be getting around to very, very soon. Again, we'll talk a little bit more about our backlogs and what we're planning on doing with them later on in the show today.
Yeah.
All right, so that's going to wrap up our PlayStation VR section there. But, LA Noire from Rockstar Games, that's a AAA title for VR. Something that we often talk about needing more of. And recently, we've been hearing rumors about Oculus and Ubisoft coming together to produce VR versions of Assassin's Creed as well as Splinter Cell VR. And so far, it's only been rumors that we're going to be getting Splinter Cell in VR. But this week brings yet another bit of, I don't know if you'd call it a rumor or just speculation. It's an educated guess, I guess is the best thing to call it. Because this week, or I guess it was last week now, in a video interview that was broadcast during the China Joy conference, the CEO of Ubisoft was talking about Splinter Cell. And one of the things that he said about Splinter Cell is that we will be seeing Splinter Cell return on, quote, different devices. Now, that by itself seems rather innocuous. I mean, different devices, that could be anything. That could be a Nintendo Switch. Who knows? Could be Google Stadia. But when you take that bit of information and you look at it through the prism of what we heard just a couple of weeks ago, there was a report that came out that Oculus, like I said, had signed a deal with Ubisoft for exclusive Splinter Cell VR and Assassin's Creed VR games. Well, then that starts to appear to be a little bit more than just your run-of-the-mill, bringing our older games to new platforms type of a statement. A week after that report about the deal with Oculus, the Ubisoft CEO, this very same person, stated that, quote, good games may help VR take off. Mm-hmm. So here we have the report come out, again, that Oculus has signed a deal with Ubisoft to make these AAA VR titles. Shortly after that, the Ubisoft CEO says that it's going to take some good games to help VR take off. And then shortly after that, he says that Splinter Cell is going to be coming back on, quote, different devices. While all this may be rumor and speculation, every week brings another piece and another example of proof that VR is moving on into a different level, into a different space in the mainstream consciousness of the consumer marketplace. And I think that this is just more evidence of that, Roots. What do you think?
I agree. And like you said, I mean, it's actually been, I think, six to 8 weeks since the original rumor came out. It's been starting to get further along. And like I said, I think I said this 2-3 weeks after, and it even goes more to my point now. no, neither company has came out and denied it. You know, like there was a huge thing saying, hey, this is a collaboration that's coming, and nobody confirmed it, but nobody came out and said, whoa, 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 that's not happening. And, you know, I'm not too far removed. I mean, I don't know, a lot of people these days can't remember last month, but like 6 months ago, a year ago, big companies were like, oh, whoa, fuck you, man. We're not doing VR. We're never doing VR. We'll never do VR. VR is dead. You know, like big companies made a big deal to distance themselves. So if this rumor would have happened a year ago, I guarantee they would have came out and said, whoa, this is not, you know, if that's not what they're doing, they would have stopped it. So I'm pretty sure all of this is leading up to what we're talking about. And that being said, I'm always right. No, I'm not always right. I could be wrong, but you never know. Like it just seems to me, it's adding credibility every single day. We don't get not only a denial, but we're getting all these little extra tidbits, you know?
Yeah, I think that's an important point too, because we've come to realize in these early days of VR that an important part of marketing is managing expectations and speculation. And if the consumers are expecting something that isn't really the case, it's pretty important for a company to come out and squash it quickly before the expectation level becomes unmanageable and becomes something that the manufacturers can never meet. So I think that you're right. I think that it speaks volumes here that rather than denying that, this Ubisoft CEO continues to come out making statements that would seem to confirm what everyone seems to be speculating, and that is that we are coming into a new era for VR, heading into the Gen 2 in the next couple of years. I think it's going to explode. I think it's pretty obvious that we're seeing the beginning of that right now.
Yeah.
All right, so that's all I'm going to say on that. We went into this topic pretty heavily a few weeks back, and if you're interested in our thoughts on it, you can definitely take a look through our backlog of episodes here and find a rather lengthy discussion or two on this very subject. But moving on here, I want to get back on the Oculus Quest. You know, we've been talking about original content coming out for Oculus Quest, how it's important for some of this stuff to come out exclusively on Quest in order to set that platform apart. And this week we had another game released exclusively on Quest, and that game is Time Stall VR. Now, this is a game that flew under my radar. I really wasn't aware of this game and that it was coming out until right before it came out. And that said, everything that I'm seeing of this looks really cool. I know that you've got puzzle fatigue, Ruuts, but this seems a little bit different than your standard puzzle game. This seems like a unique concept. This is more of an environmental puzzler where you're trying to make your way through certain obstacles, but the whole hook here is that you have the ability to manipulate time. And it's a story-driven game, so you are running through a narrative here, but as these different things begin to unfold, you can slow down time, grab items from midair, and manipulate them in order to solve the problems or puzzles that have been presented to you. This was released by Force Field Entertainment this past week on the 15th, and it's only $15. Ruuts, you spoke earlier in the show today about how your attitudes towards owning a Quest are beginning to change. Does a game like Time Stall VR feed into that at all?
Oh yeah, this is one of the ones I was talking about. You know, I don't know if it'll ever come to Rift or not, but just the fact that there's something that I can check out on the Quest, it's an excuse. It's one more thing tipping me to buying that Quest. And you know, my thinking is like, we need to play it for the show, and there's no you can't let you do it by yourself, so I have to, you know, I have to have a reason to get it, and I'm pretty close to getting it, you know.
Yeah, I've been thinking that, but I didn't want to say it's a lot of money to spend and put pressure on someone to buy one, but Sure would be nice if I had somebody to review these Quest games with me.
Yeah, that'd be nice for me too. And you know, like I was telling you earlier, I had an opportunity today. I was talking to a guy that you know, I've done stops for him a few times, and we're becoming friends. And you know, he invited me over to his house to him and his wife to have brisket soon. And I was telling him about VR, and I was thinking, oh shit, you know, like I wish I had the Quest. I could take it over when I go to eat the brisket. And then that just started me on a thought process of, yeah, I think I need to get the Quest, you know?
Absolutely. Put a lightsaber in that man's hand.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He'll be sold immediately. So yeah, definitely an excellent platform for that reason. That's why it's called Quest, right? This is our Quest. It's to take VR to the uninitiated. And it's an aptly named product. It's a wonderful product. You know, I went on earlier in the show about it, how my family loves it and uses it every day. And I think that's the focus for Oculus now, at least in these early stages where we're trying to get new adopters. It's important to present an affordable product that's easy to use, and Oculus Quest is that product. And the more of these titles that we see, like Time Stall VR, like the Covert Ops kayaking game that we talked about earlier, the more of this stuff we see come out on Quest, the more viable of an option it becomes to recruit people with. So I'm definitely interested in checking this game out, and any subsequent titles that may be coming to Oculus Quest. I mean, as much as I like getting these titles on Oculus Rift and seeing the improved version, I do kind of wish that a few of them would just be exclusives. So I wouldn't be mad at them if they kept this one as a Quest exclusive.
Yeah, my feeling though, and this is my gut feeling, unless it's going to be something that you have to be moving around for, it's not going to be. Like, what developer is going to stop and say, oh, you know, we could sell this on the Rift and make more sales? At some point it'll happen. But I mean, I agree, there has to be draws, even if, like I said last week, even if it's 6 months, you know, there has to be exclusives. It has to happen, or else there's no reason to own the Quest unless you're doing a podcast and you need to review some games with Wes. Other than that, why else would you have a Quest? Well, there's a lot of other reasons, but yeah, so.
Well, I'll tell you why. And it's one of I mean, it hasn't reached its full potential in this aspect yet, but it's a very potentially easy way to get into a multiplayer session with a friend. If you both have Quest, you're chatting online, and you want to get into a game or something and do something together, you can make the decision, and literally within 2 minutes, grab this thing, put it on, and be in VR together. And that brings us to our next title here that I want to talk about. It's another Quest title, and it is Real VR Fishing. Now, this has not been announced as a multiplayer title. So let me be clear about that right up front. But I often, ever since I came into VR period, not just standalones, have wanted a photorealistic fishing simulator that I can experience with a friend or family member, of course. You know, who doesn't want to go fishing in VR with their dad, right?
Yeah.
So here we have this game, Real Fishing VR. I heard about this game a while back. This is an Oculus Go game that came out from Mirage Soft. $10 on Oculus Go, came out in June 21st to be exact. And it didn't really interest me when I first heard about it, just because I knew it was a Go title. I knew that it was not multiplayer, and that it was 3 degrees of freedom instead of 6 degrees of freedom. So you just had head tracking in it, and the controls were all basic flat video game controls. Where this game has taken a big turn for me is when I read today that not only is this a photorealistic fishing game, but the mechanics are going to fall somewhere in between a fun to play arcade game and a realistic simulation. But they're updating this game. It's not going to be a straight port. This game's getting new content, and it's getting 6 degrees of freedom controls. So this is going to be a legit fishing simulator. And judging by these visuals, it's going to be beautiful. Ruuts, have you ever really gotten into fishing in real life, either in the past or now? And is this something that interests you as something you might want to try in VR?
I've gone fishing. I'm not like, I know some people are like, oh man, it's Saturday. I nothing better than sitting on the dock or sitting by the lake and fishing or whatever. And so be it. If that's what somebody likes, I see it as a means to an end. And if I go camping, hanging out with people, yeah, it's cool to fish. But what I think would be cool is just how realistic, looking at a really cool environment, being chill, being relaxed, looking real. Look at how good that looks, the city skyline. And so, yeah, I mean, and if you could make it multiplayer, that just everything about it sounds like it'd be pretty cool, actually. Now, let me ask you this one more thing. Sorry, I've almost forgot about this. This kind of scares me, actually, but do you think they will add the fish smell to that Vader mask thing? Because I don't want that shit. I don't want to smell the fish. That's the beauty of doing it in VR. No fish smell.
Well, that was kind of one of the things people
points?
talked about when we saw that thing. For those of you who don't know, there's an item that's a crowd-funded VR accessory that is a mask that you wear over the only exposed part of your face that's left. They want you to cover that up, and they're going to give you the smell of the game. And yeah, I'm with you on this one. I don't think that I would want to have the smells of the lake show up inside my my headset.
Especially since they use a chemical spray that, they say, I think it was Anthony would say, it would get stuck in your mustache and then you're smelling that fish smell all day. No, I'm going to pass on the thing altogether myself.
Not only that, but those chemicals are going to end up bringing on VR cancer of the face.
Yeah, or Alzheimer's. That's where the Alzheimer's is really coming from.
Right. No, but yeah, at one time in my life, I was really into fishing, so this looks super cool to me. This is what I wanted when the other fishing game came out, Catch and Release. I wanted this. I wanted photorealism, and the fact that they're going to be bringing something like this to Oculus Quest. I mean, you pair something like this with the release of Red Matter that came out last week, and Vader Immortal. It just goes to show the power of optimization, and it really, really makes me excited for the future of the very first generation Oculus Quest. I think by the end of this thing's life cycle, it will have done some very amazing things in VR.
I agree. And what's funny is you mentioned that that was one of the things that also tipped me towards buying the Quest as well, is Red Matter, and what they did with that game and how good it looks. It gives me, like I said about the ASW, like Oculus has got their shit together. They know what they're doing. And I have a lot more faith in the Quest now than I did 2 weeks ago. And I know I was talking to you about the VR cover and how that's a game changer, about how it doesn't feel as uncomfortable on your head. And yeah, so it's definitely, it's like a 75% have to pick up in the next couple weeks, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And on a related note, since I got my VR cover for my Quest, they have sent me marketing emails. They have a new product now that pads the strap on the back of your head. Some people, not me, but some people have problems with that strap cutting into the back of their head. Well, they have padding for that now that you can purchase. And something that you and I have talked about frequently, accessories for the Rift S.
Oh my God, are they really? You're kidding? Is it out?
It's not out, but it's coming. They have it listed on their website as coming soon.
Now,
so,
do you think it'll have? I mean, if they're smart, they'll build a whole new Halo and you'll plug that thing in and it'll come with audio and it'll be like $100. And I don't know, man, that would be cool. I know that they're just padding and shit, but
Right.
yeah.
That's a whole new wheelhouse. I do think we'll get such a product from another company. I do not expect to see that from VR Cover anytime soon.
Could be Oculus, actually, and I've thought about that. Like, what a perfect marketing ploy. You know, you let it be shitty for a while, and then you release an upgrade, kind of like Vive did with the their audio stuff. You know,
That's what would be hilarious. You know, recently HTC started offering Rift support on their Viveport platform. Wouldn't it be hilarious if they started selling accessories for the Oculus Rift hardware?
oh god, that would just be an awesome story to cover.
Yeah, I would love it. Oh, anyway, last word on VR fishing. I think it's awesome. Developers, who were the developers again? That was Mirage Soft. Mirage Soft, if you ever see this, please bring multiplayer to this game. I think that games like this, games like amusement park simulations, and party games like that, I think that the one thing that they're missing in VR is a multiplayer aspect, and I think that your game would benefit greatly from being able to bring a friend along with you.
You're right. That one Carnival one that I can't remember what the name of it is off the top of my head. Summer
Funland. Yeah.
Like if you could ride the rides together, and like especially this game, because like if you're hanging out with somebody in VR anyway, or like you said, you mentioned your dad. You know, maybe your dad lives on the other side, and you used to of the world, and you used to fish together. And even though it's not real, you still are hanging out and you're still having those same conversations you would have as you were fishing. And I guarantee it'll become mindless and you will feel like you're hanging out fishing. And that, I think, is worth more than everything in this type of game, you know?
Yeah, definitely one of the more powerful aspects of VR is the ability to connect with a friend or loved one with hundreds of miles in between you, and you can sit in physically the same space with them and participate in activities, or just sit around and watch movies and talk. You know.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on down the line here, coming to the end of the news, we have a couple more items. First of all, let's talk about Electronauts. Now, this is a game that we very recently, reviewed. And I had my opinion on it, and you and Alex had a different opinion on it. But one thing we all kind of agreed on is it seemed as if Survios had abandoned this title because they promised when they launched a year ago that they would soon be having DLC coming with more songs to experience and play with. Well, not 2 weeks removed from us making that statement, here comes Survios with the goods. And they released this past week on the 15th, the Electronauts Heatwave DLC. They have added 35 tracks to the game, which now brings the grand total up to over 80 tracks from over 80 different artists for you to pick apart and put back together in this game, and basically just have an audio party. Again, if you want to know specifically what we think about this game, you can look back on our review. But Ruuts, I know you really enjoyed this game. Have you gone in yet to check out this DLC? And if not, do you think you're going to be getting into it anytime soon?
Actually, I am. I do want to try it, and I will mention. I don't think you mentioned it. It is free this weekend, so if you have, I think you have one more day. Today's pretty much the day to play it. If you want to play it for free, check it out. So you don't have to pay to try it, and you can try the whole game. And I think it's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not only is it free for the rest of today, pretty much, but it's also on sale. So if you want to pick it up to keep, it's half price right now, $10. So
That's a good deal.
Yeah, I would recommend it for $10. It's a fun game, and you know, for that price, worth it. And with the added content, there was already really there was more than you had the time to play through. And
It's 35 more songs, right?
yeah, I mean, even before the DLC, there was a lot of tracks on here. I didn't even come close to playing through all of them. So now with the 35 more, it's literally like a third more than what was in it before. And yeah, $10, you can't, I recommend here. So definitely get on there, check out the free weekend, and if you like it, pick it up, have fun.
Isn't it funny though? I was thinking, how perceptions can change on, a couple weeks. Like you said, we just said that they gave up on this game, and it's just an example that it takes time to mess with games. And this is the biggest reason why everybody thought they gave up. It's been a year, right? I mean, for sure,
Yeah.
Servios would have put something out, because like, what else have they been working on? Oh, that's right, Battle Wake and a whole bunch of other shit. So, if they were only working on one game, if Electronauts was their baby and that's all they have, yeah, a year is a long time. But it's just another example that people are impatient and everybody jumps to conclusions, even us, which is surprising because we're perfect. But no, it's just weird how life works. It's like, no, we've been working on it. Chill down, chill out. We're going to release a free DLC, and we're going to let you play it for free, So
Yeah, perfect way to get a few more sales, in my opinion. I mean, obviously this thing probably had stagnated in terms of sales, being a year old, almost to the day. So why not hold on to your DLC until people quit buying it, and then hold some kind of event like this where people can try it for free. The price is discounted. There's new content, and the Virtual Strangers just reviewed it. So
yeah, perfect time. They were waiting for our review, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think it's smart on their part, because we are going to be able to get them tens upon tens
of sales. Yeah, tens of tens. Yeah.
All right. Anyway, yeah, it was fun. It wasn't my favorite thing in the world, but I had fun in it, and it's definitely worth $10. So check it out, guys. It's today only. This is the last day. So go immediately after the show, of course.
Yeah.
Go immediately and check out Electronauts. All right, one more item, just a really quick thing I wanted to touch on. It actually wasn't even part of my initial show rundown, but as I was researching some of the items that I did put into the show format yesterday, I happened to notice that Trover Saves the Universe had received an update. And immediately my curiosity is piqued, because this game is hilarious, friends, and fun. That was the surprising thing about it. It was fun. Again, another game we have reviewed here. So if you want our full detailed thoughts on that, just take a look back a few weeks and you'll find a full review on it. But yeah, this is called the Jopo or Jopo update. Basically, from what I can tell, and I haven't tried this yet, this game was updated late Friday, early Saturday morning to include the character Jopo as the main character, changing the game from Trover Saves the Universe to Jopo Saves the Universe. Roots, you've made it a little further into this game than I did. Do you have any damn idea who Jopo is?
No, but I'm intrigued now, because if they bring in a new character, then I almost guarantee it's going to be completely new dialogue. It'll give you a whole different reason to play through the entire game again, which is so cool. Like, I don't know, man. I'm blown away. I knew there was news on it, but a lot of times I want my reaction to be real. So I don't even research a lot of what's coming out, and I just kind of go with what you're showing. And I didn't know that it was going to be. I didn't know what the hell Jopo was. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's this weird oblong hot dog shaped character.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's all I really know about it is that he's taking Trover's place, and the developers and the dev notes noted that this isn't the big DLC that they have been teasing. This is something to get us back in the game and get us prepared for that
Wow.
DLC. It's going to be coming soon. They said they're very excited about the content that they're going to be dropping soon for it. But this is just a little something to get us back into the game.
Yeah, it's funny because this is like we've talked in great length in the last couple of days, you and I, about the trouble with content that we can't get back to our backlog games, and this is one of them. And I got really far, like you said, and then I stopped playing. Like I'm not the finisher. That's the one of the biggest things I admire about Justin is he's devoted. He's gonna finish, and actually Alex as well. Both of them are very diligent about finishing games. But I think that's yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I think this game is a special case in that perspective too, because you're right. We often come across these games that we start and we don't get a finish, but this one especially, I think about finishing this game all the time, and whenever I think about it, I never have the time to get into it.
Yeah.
Now, again, we are proactively taking action to change this aspect of our lives, and we're going to be talking about that just momentarily. Stay tuned. But definitely Trover Saves the Universe and or Jopo Saves the Universe, something you're going to be hearing more about in subsequent days and weeks on our channel. So stay tuned. We'll let you know more about what this update is as we find out.
I want to know about Jopo.
I want to know about Jopo too.
Yeah.
Little Roots.
Yeah. Oh my God, that just blows me away.
All right. Anyway, so that's going to wrap up the news for this week. Be sure to leave a comment down below if we left anything out that you want us to comment on, and we will reply to your comment, or we can take it up in the Discord. Again, there's the Discord invite link in the description down below. Join us on there, and we can talk about anything VR related that you want to talk about. All right. So with the end of the news segment brings us into what we do every week, and that is run down the week in content on the Virtual Strangers channel. Only this week we're going to go into a little bit more detail because the times, they are a-changing, friends. Upon Alex's departure, Ruuts and I have had to put our head together and decide what we want to do. First of all, do we want to keep going? Which ultimately we decided, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. We're definitely going to keep going. And not only are we going to keep going, but we're going all in, friends. We're going to take it to the next level. Not only is that going to mean an expansion of what our content covers, we're not going to do more content. We're staying on the same format and the same, roughly the same schedule, but you are going to start to see a lot of changes in how the content is presented, and there's going to be even more changes in how the content is produced that you don't see, but makes things easier for Ruuts and I behind the scenes, so that not only are we able to crank out this awesome content on a regular basis, but we don't get burnt out while doing so.
Yeah.
So we're gonna keep that kind of stuff to ourselves. We're not going to go into too much detail about how the sausage is made, but we're going to promise you that the sausage is going to be delicious.
Yeah.
All right. So running down the week's content, as we always do, of course, every Sunday we have Virtual Strangers. That is not changing. It's going to be a news-focused program where we go down select stories from the week that was in VR, premiering around 12:30 Eastern Standard Time on YouTube. You can catch us in the chat there as the episode premieres week to week. Not much changing with the Virtual Strangers show. What is going to be a very evident change is what we do on Monday. Up until this point, we've been doing what we're calling our Virtual Strangers weekly topical discussion, where each week we pick a topic and we kind of talk it out on the show. And it's been a lot of fun doing those. But we're, like I said, we're taking it up a notch now, guys. So that those discussions aren't going anywhere. But when we first switched over to the new format, it was our intention for the content that you get on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to adequately replace what people originally loved about the original Virtual Strangers show. And that is the game talk, the talk about old games. You know, the way things have been structured over the last couple of months, we have to have an excuse to play a game. Like we're reviewing it or we're talking about it on a show. And what that has done, not only have we not been able to play a lot of the games that we want to play, we've totally ignored our backlog, and we never did get back to talking about those old games, having those game-centric discussions that we had in the early days of this show. So we are making a profound change to what we do on Mondays here, and we're expanding the topical discussion into a variety show. So tomorrow, debuting for the first time on the Virtual Strangers channel, will be the Monday show. And yes, folks, that's what it's going to be called. It's going to be called the Monday show. And the Monday show is a variety show. What you see on the Monday show is not going to be the same from week to week. We're going to have a handful of different segments that we're going to be pulling from. Each week we're going to be doing 2 or 3 of those segments. And the following week after that, we'll be doing a different 2 or 3 of those segments. But the way it's always going to work out is we're going to be talking about a couple of different games. And then we're going to end the show off with some kind of a discussion like we have been having on Mondays. So, for example, tomorrow on the Monday show, we're going to start off by giving our impressions, or let's see, what do we have first? Yeah, we're going to be giving our impressions of Ninja Legends, a game that we've been wanting to play since it released or came out of early access last week, but it's been around for about a month now. A game that looks interesting to Ruuts and I both, and we got a chance to play it over the last couple of days, and we're going to talk about it because we want to talk about it. And following that, I'm going to be giving my impressions of Ace Combat 7, a game that I've wanted to play since it came out, a game that I've had here for a month and haven't had the time to play amongst the strict, heavy schedule, not only in my personal life, but here with producing content on the channel. Over the last few days, I've managed to find time to play that, and I'm going to talk about that tomorrow because I want to talk about that. And we're going to wrap up the entire thing with a discussion of crossplay. Crossplay will be our discussion topic this week, basically because Red Matter came out this week. And a lot of us were expecting Red Matter to be a crossplay title. I personally was looking forward to checking out Red Matter on Quest because it is such a beautiful game and it's supposed to be a great port. But if I want to do that, it looks like I'm going to have to shell out money to buy it again. And I'm not so sure about how I feel about that. So we're going to talk it out tomorrow and we're going to find out how I feel about that. But this is just what your typical Monday show is going to look like. Some old game talk. A lot of the time we're just going to pick games because we want to talk about them just like we used to at the end of the old Virtual Strangers show, and we're going to talk about them. We've brainstormed and come up with some good ideas for segments. One of the segments is going to put us into tackling our backlog. It's going to be called the Backlog Report, where Ruuts and I are going to pick a title, specifically something from our backlog that we've wanted to play for a long time, and we're going to play it. And then we're going to come back here on the Monday show and we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about what we covered in the game, what we thought about it. We're going to talk about what we want to talk about. And then another example of a segment that you're going to see from time to time on the Monday show is a segment we like to call because I said so.
Brilliant.
And in this, yeah, and in this segment, I'm going to tell Ruuts what he's going to play this week. Ruuts is going to tell me what I'm going to play this week. And if we don't like it, we're going to do it anyway. Why? Because I said so. And that's the whole concept behind that particular segment. Again, this is not stuff you're going to see every week on the Monday show. The Monday show is going to be whatever we feel like making it that week. But one thing I can promise you, friends, is that the Game Talk's coming back, and we're going to be diving headfirst into the games that maybe aren't on the new release schedule. We're going to be getting back into the old games like Trover that we played and reviewed, but want to get into more. We're going to get into those games, and we're going to talk about them some more. So out of all the changes we're making to the schedule, the Monday show is going to be the most profound change and probably the one I'm looking forward to the most. What about you, Ruuts? What do you think about the Monday show change?
I think you are brilliant because Wes is like, he's giving me all these ideas, and I'm like, oh my God, that is like that. Like, because I said so, is going to force, like, Wes, like, I was telling him, even like some of these free experiences that I think are just blow me away. And every time he'll say, well, I don't play free stuff. Well, guess what, Wes, you're going to play this fucking game because I said so. And I just like it for me. And like Wes said, these changes are not only for the content for you guys, but it's also for us because it opened our eyes. Like, we don't want to get burnt out. And I really enjoy the show. I really enjoy my time hanging out with Wes. And, you know, it's just, again, like I said, you know, everything happens for a reason. And I believe this is going to be a good one. So.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to the Monday show. We're still keeping the topical discussions. We are going to continue on with our planned monthly review preview segments like we did last month, July in review, and then the August preview. We're going to continue to do that every month. We're going to preview what's coming up the next month, and then we're going to review and pick our game of the month from the prior month. So all that stuff's still going to be here, but the Monday show is going to be a bit longer, a bit more nuanced than it was previously, and in doing so, we're going to free ourselves to play those games we haven't had time to recently, and I think put on more entertaining content for you, the viewer. So tune in tomorrow for the first episode of the Monday show, where we're going to give impressions on Ninja Legends, Ace Combat, and we're going to talk about crossplay. And I'll tell you what, we'll even introduce the first because I said so segment tomorrow. We'll pick a couple of things to make each other play, announce it at the end of tomorrow's Monday show, and then tune in next week on the Monday show to see what we thought about these experiences that we were forced to play.
Yeah.
Okay. Beyond that, everything else is staying the same. We are going to be going from 3 reviews to 2 reviews because obviously there's just 2 of us now instead of 3. We are going to still be picking our games to review. So again, another way for us to play the games that we want to play in our spare time, and yet still be working on content for the channel. So that said, Tuesday we're going to be doing Ruuts' review. Ruuts, what do you want to review this week?
I want to review Audica, actually. Although we're taking another twist on this as well, as far as how we present it. Wes, I'll let you explain that change as well.
Okay, well, I'm not going to go into too much detail here about why we're making these changes, but this is one of those how the sausage was made changes. And the way that the only difference it's going to make to you, the viewer, is I'm going to be hosting Ruuts' reviews, and Ruuts is going to be hosting my reviews. Now there are reasons for this that's going to make it easier for us to produce the content by doing it this way, but it will provide a different look to our reviews. Also, we're going to try to take less of a formulaic approach to our discussions. If you watch our earlier reviews, it kind of seems like maybe we were reading off a cue card, even though we weren't. How we would go down the list of categories: graphics, audio, replayability. We're still going to touch on all that stuff, but we're going to kind of try to have more of a natural flowing conversation when it comes to those things.
Yeah. We're just going to talk about the game. You know,
we're gonna talk about the game, and naturally in the flow of the conversation, these things are going to come up. So, all right. So Ruuts is going to choose the Audica for his review. We're going to do that review on Tuesday, and then on Wednesday we're going to do my review, and that review being Doom VFR. Again, Ruuts will be hosting the Doom VFR review, even though it was my game to choose. And the reason I chose this game is because before Alex went on his holiday a couple of weeks ago, he had chosen it as his game. So I started playing it and remembering how much that I absolutely loved this game. And obviously, being responsible to play it for a review, I went deeper into it than I ever had before. And man, am I absolutely blown away by Doom VFR. But that said, I've got a lot of negative things to say about Doom VFR in Bethesda specifically. So tune in on Wednesday to see all the good and bad things that I've experienced in trying to play Doom VFR over the last couple of weeks. All right. So that said, again, let me reassure you folks that we're taking things up to the next level here with Virtual Strangers. Not only are we producing better content for you, the people, we're going to be revamping the look of the website over of the channel over the next couple of months. You're going to start to see gradually things change with the way it looks. We're going to have a more professional production going on here. It's not going to look like an amateur vlog for very much longer. It's going to look something more akin to the larger, more well-produced channels on YouTube, and we have lots of ideas that we're working through as we speak to make the experience for the viewer something that's even more enjoyable than what we've done so far. Don't get us wrong, we're very proud of the work that we've done thus far. We think that our channel and our content is great, but it can be better, and we're going to make it better. So please, just hang in there, friends. You're going to like the way you look. I guarantee it.
And if you're still here at this long after we're talking, I showed the end, then yeah, we appreciate it. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I guess that's going to wrap up the weekly show. Again, like Ruuts just said, if you've made it this far, thank you so much. You're obviously one of our hardcore viewers. Without you guys here, we wouldn't be doing this. If it weren't for you guys, when Alex says I'm out,
we would have quit.
We would have quit. But we know you guys love viewing the content and more importantly, participating in the community as much as we do.
Yeah, join our Discord. If you're not in our Discord, you need to join. We have such an awesome community of people in there, and the conversations that take place, and we're going to start incorporating it in some of our segments where, maybe you get to decide what Ruuts plays this week. So you want to be a part of the Discord. So if you're not already, definitely join. Join today, join now. Don't wait, and you won't regret it.
Yeah. As proud as I am with what we've done on our channel and our content, I'm doubly so proud with the community that we've managed to build thus far. And Alex and Justin, just a big part of that is Ruuts and I. And Alex and Justin continue to be a part of the community, even though they don't continue to be a part of the channel. So, again, thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, click the thumbs up. If you didn't, click the thumbs down. for those of you who are new to the channel, if you haven't already, subscribe, click the bell to keep up with our nearly daily content. And thanks for watching, folks. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Take it easy.